I should start.
Oh, you did. All right. So we've had a lot of questions that have been sent through personal message and different things like that. So one of the things that we wanted to address today was specifically to anybody that's, I guess, on the margins, but LGBTQ community specifically. She has to get her Starburst.
These are so good. They're sour. Mini Starburst.
She eats candy all day, every day. Like breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's amazing.
I had those Ghirardelli squares for breakfast today.
She really did. She's not lying. They're still on the counter. But we wanted to kind of talk to those that are in the LGBTQ community, wherever you're at in your journey, and be able to just maybe give you a different perspective. Are you laughing?
No, you're just really cute.
Oh, thanks, babe. Maybe give you just like a different perspective on your personal journey, I guess, because specifically at the beginning of my journey, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think at the beginning of your journey, it was very like thought to be cookie cutter, like the process needed to be cookie cutter, right? Like specifically when I had like made that LDS film, or even when I first barely came out, I was like, how am I supposed to live, you know, when I fall in love with women? And that's all I've ever fallen in love with, like over and over again. And so, you know, my thought was, well, the only way to happiness or to feel the spirit or to be close to God is by A, living a celibate life in the church, or B, being in a mixed orientation marriage. For those who don't know what that is, it's being, she's like, wait, what was it? She struggles being around any of like my LGBT community friends because she's like, what's an MOM? And I'm like, mixed orientation marriage.
Oh wait, real quick. One person said to me when we were in like around like your LGBTQ friends, they were like, they said, what did they say? They said, what makes you queer? And I heard, what's your career? Because I'm not around the community a lot.
She's
so
like,
then
so
I was like marketing. they were like,
so marketing makes you queer. They're like, I've never heard that.
I was like, yep, just if
That
you're
was
in
really
marketing,
funny.
you're queer. So
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, anyway, so we can get into that another time. It was pretty funny.
So funny.
But yeah, I think there was this one view on how I was supposed to be close to God. And so that's actually, you know, and I can get into a whole other video on like the creation and how I got into like making that Mormon message. But in the end, like I felt like that was the path to happiness for me, right? And a lot of people watching this that are, you know, really in the church and things are probably still saying, well, yeah, it is. Like that is your path to happiness. But for me personally and throughout my experiences, that wasn't like, you know, that was very painful, very agonizing for me personally. Although for some people it really isn't. Like I have friends that are within the church and within the faith that being celibate actually brings them joy and happiness and
Works for them.
It works for them. Yeah. Or even in mixed orientation marriages, which by the way is somebody that
back to that
has different sexual orientations that are married. So for instance, like if it were me, it would be me as a gay woman married to a straight man, and that's like a mixed orientation marriage. So like things have brought happiness for different people and brought people closer to God, but for us specifically, I was pleased to find out that I can still have a relationship with God and be very spiritual and filled of the Spirit and get spiritual promptings while I'm loving Savannah and while I'm very fulfilled in this relationship. And why are you laughing? Did I say that bad?
No. I just don't know if I'm laughing because we still like haven't talked have we said what the point of the video is?
Yeah. I think like just going towards like
we're talking about like faith and
yeah, LGBT, like navigating like being LGBT, that like it doesn't have to be in this like in a specific way that you think it has to be, you know what I mean? Like specific
Did
path.
I ruin it?
Oh,
sorry.
You always ask if you ruin things.
I know,
because you panic. Anyways, and also to know that like there are like people that are going to criticize you no matter where
Oh yeah, because we're talking
at.
to the LGBTQ community as well. I'm trying to be clear.
I know, but we said that at the beginning.
We did?
Yeah.
I was thinking about candy, so
You were grabbing your Starburst, and I was
Sorry,
like,
everybody.
this is for the LGBTQ people.
sorry.
It's cool. Shh. Our dogs are whining.
Anyway, cut me out of it. Keep going.
No. So there are people that criticize you no matter like where you're at in your journey. Like I've had people criticize me from when I was questioning all the way through to when like I not only said I was gay but released a church video saying I was like staying celibate and all these things. I had so many like negative people on all sides. No, he's so cute. Go. He's so sad. People that were criticizing me for like, you know, being gay in general, because somehow that was like a choice, and they were like upset that I even like accepted that I was attracted to women. And then I had people within the gay community that were upset at me, that were like, how dare you try to live celibate, like that's like not who you are, blah blah blah. And now that I'm on this side, you know, I've got people all over the place again. I've got people in the gay community that are like, how dare you, like, you know, empathize or like feel sorry, you know, for people or anything like that. Like, this is who you are, this is how you should live. And then I have people in the church that are like, how dare you be in a relationship with a woman? And like, so anywhere you go, like, you're gonna have all sorts of like people that are criticizing you. But in the end, like, I finally had to learn that this journey is between me and God, and like where I feel that I should be in that moment. And I can't let voices or preconceived like thoughts and anything like that, like, you know, force me into a path that I
And just like
wasn't
drag you
supposed to go.
down, because it's just so hard not to listen to all the voices and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to be doing this or that. And it gets really hard to have your own voice, which is what I've struggled with, because I don't know. It's been hard not to listen when people I love tell me really, really hard things that we can, again, get into a different video. But it's been hard to figure out, okay, what do I think? What do I believe? Like, you know, what makes me happy, and what's given me peace, and what's given me peace personally is just, well, okay, so back up. So I was trying to figure out, like, I had this, like, stool, right? Like, the 3-legged stool, which I'm very visual, so, like, in my head, like, that was my life, and the 3 legs was love, faith, and family, and friends. Family, friends together. So I had the 3 legs, and at the very beginning, I'm having these feelings of falling in love, which I've never had this naturally, or this like strong. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's one of the legs, and that's going to affect the other 2. And then when it did affect the other 2, when, you know, friends and family, it was hard with. Yeah.
Experiences.
Yeah,
for sure.
And with Faith obviously telling me I'm not living right, I'm fallen, I'm listening to Satan, all these like really damaging things to put on somebody. But I'm having this struggle, this internal battle, because I'm forced to pick a leg and have like a stable, balanced life, and I don't know how to do that, because I can't just take away one leg of this stool and think it's gonna stand and be, you know, stable. And so it was agonizing. And so I just empathize with anybody that's like in the community and going through that same thing, because it is so hard to wrap your head around and figure out, okay, how do I get this balanced, stable life without letting go of faith or family and friends or love, because you need all 3, which is what we have found.
Yeah.
I couldn't just be like, bye Jess, see you later, have a good life. It just didn't work with me. I couldn't have that option and have a balanced, stable stool. And so,
and same with like faith, like you couldn't just say goodbye to faith and God and, you know, and family.
Each
like
part of the
each part you had
each
to
leg,
keep.
I was like, I
Yeah.
have to have these in my life, or else I'm not me. And that really is me. It wasn't, I don't know, what other people said I was or what I should be. I realized that me is having all those legs on the stool. And so I couldn't just be like, okay, I'm not going to church again, or I'm not going to pray again, and I'm just going to say goodbye to my relationship with God, because how do you do that?
Right. That's exact
And
same.
for
yeah.
I can't. I refuse. So
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like
there's not one specific way to do it. There's not one specific way to come out. There's not one specific way to live. There's not one specific way to handle confrontation in your life. And I think as traumatizing and as hard as it is, it does help you find your voice, and it helps you realize what's important to you and
for sure.
how to be confident in that, because when you have all these different voices, like, you just have to rely on yours and Heavenly Father's. And
You do. You have to get to the point where you have to stand for yourself, and it
Yeah.
no matter what that takes. Like it will take
or looks like.
Yeah, or looks like, and it'll take time to get to the point where you're like, I just have to do, no matter what anybody else says, whether they're people I love, whether they're random people on the street, no
Which
matter
is
if
just
they're
as
leaders
hard.
or not, which is still very difficult. But no matter where people are at, like I have to get to the point where I'm at peace with where I am and with what I'm doing, and that is so hard if you're taking into account everybody's opinions. And I mean, I have, you know, people and family and friends that are in the church that are very faithful, that are, you know, temple worthy, temple goers, that think that this relationship is so good and so important and is very good for both of us and is okay, you know. And then I have family and friends that are very against this and are very much like, you know, this isn't what you should be doing. And in the end, like,
That were also in the church.
that are also in the church.
So
Yes,
got
that are
both.
also in the church, that are, you know, temple goers, are like, this is not okay, this isn't good. And so in the end, you have to get to the point where it's like, no matter what anybody says, like, how do I feel inside? Like, where's my peace at? And I just want to make sure that, like, anybody in the LGBTQ community knows that there is hope and there is happiness and there is joy in your journey. And that's something that's so important to hold on to, because I got to a point where I didn't think that there was anymore. Like, I was very suicidal. I was struggling, you know, feeling like I needed to live this one way and that I had to lose a part of my stool. I had to lose, you know, faith in God, and I had to lose, you know, in order to get, I mean, I didn't feel that there was a way I could have all three. And for me, there is. And again, that looks different for different people. I mean, there's people that are temple goers that are LGBTQ, and they are able to find a way to have their connecting relationships and love that they need, you know, and that's their way. For me, this is my way, and this is how I'm keeping all legs of my stool together, and it's working amazing for me. Like, you know, it's difficult as anything, you know, and it's also like rewarding and hopeful. And I just like want everyone to know that there's hope, because at times it can really feel like there's not. Like, yeah.
And even with, like, whatever you do choose or whatever path you're on, that you can I don't know what I'm saying. Can we cut this part out?
No.
I don't know what I'm saying.
That's
I
perfect.
started and then I don't know where I'm going. And then I look at you and your blue eyes.
It's like The Office. Sometimes I start a conversation and I don't know where it's going. Don't for any reason, forever.
Oh gosh. And I'm
Anyways.
like looking at it's already 14 minutes, which I know I shouldn't keep telling you what time it is. Also, side note, did you guys do this in elementary school with your hair with the 3-prong? I had to bring, because I did it today and I feel like I'm living my elementary school self. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. Oh, but I did want to say, like, with my stool, because we're gonna just use that because it works. I've had some of the best and most spiritual experiences the past 2 years, and it's
We've
hard.
been together 2.5 years. Well,
Yeah,
just,
like
yeah.
September
Anyways.
20, whatever, doesn't matter. So, I don't know what I'm saying again. What the
Sorry,
heck?
that was my fault. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
So I'm just trying to say, like, I know not just the LGBTQ plus community is gonna be watching this. It's gonna just be everybody, and so, I guess I just want to tell everybody that we are all on our own journeys, and we don't need to figure out anybody else's journey, and that's not why we're here. And
yeah,
my purpose in life is not to figure out someone else's obstacles or life choices or anything, and all I get to do is love them. And I don't mean the love that's like, I love you, but like that. It's just that unconditional, I love who you are, I love your personality, I love everything that you bring to the table, like,
yeah,
that's you. And like just picking one part of a person and saying like, oh, I'm gonna look at you through this one lens of an aspect of you is not what anybody deserves and what anybody should have.
That goes the same on the opposite end too. I mean, that goes for the LGBTQ individual as well, because you can't just look at somebody else that's part of a religion that looks down on, like, you know, your lifestyle. I mean, if I did that, then there can be a lot of hatred, you know, there can be, you know, a lot of like, well, I only look at you as somebody that hates LGBT people, which isn't
which
true,
is not right.
Right? And that's not right, and it's not true.
Right.
So I think coming to this common understanding of like, it's okay to be different and to love each other anyways, you know, like through it all, and that's not what defines them. Like it, you know, being in this relationship doesn't define us, and like, you know, being a part of religion that doesn't agree with us doesn't define them. Like, you know, we all have like so many different aspects of who we are that there's so much that we can love, you know, and so much that we can base relationships off of. It doesn't have to be surrounding this
through one lens,
which is hard, because I have had like, and I was talking about this before we started filming, but it's really difficult because I've been with family members and friends that are like, well, then let's stop hearing about like LGBT stuff, you know, like let's stop. But I do feel that it's important to talk about these things. It's important to get these things out there, because it's shocking how many issues there still are. And I didn't know that until I started going through them personally. I mean, before I even came out as gay, like before I even like started letting myself question what was happening, I was like a lot of other people. I was like, why do we keep hearing about all this crap? Like, LGBTQ this, whatever. Like, I don't care if they're that. Go live your lives. Yeah. Like, go be with, but like, stop shoving it in my face. And I do get that there's some that do shove it in faces, but I didn't understand, like, how much, like, is prejudice the right word? I don't know what.
Yeah.
For, like, just how, like, how hard it really is, and how many difficult experiences and difficult conversations and relationships are still being had. That should be resolved previous, like it should already be known, right? Like, do you get what I'm saying? She's trying to understand what I'm saying. Like, for instance, you know, we still have people that are like, well, how could you choose to do this? And it's like, are we not past the point yet that we know this isn't a choice? Like, are we still
are we back there
to like, yes, we chose this because
social pressure.
We would love to, like,
I love getting bullied. It's my favorite thing ever.
I'm doing this because it's fun, and I like to
somehow
get attention. Yeah, I like confrontation. Like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, this is literally still happening. Like, people still believe that this is somehow a choice, and not a choice to act on it. I get that, but somehow it's a choice to fall in love with each other. And I'm like, I don't know how we still think that. So anyways, I thought that was important to bring up.
But just with like
topic, but
like sorry. Shoving it in people's faces, like I don't know. It's, you talk about your life, and you talk about what's important to you, and you talk about what's happening in your life with your friends and family. And so it's not just like a constant like, well, I'm throwing this gay agenda at you. It's like, no, I'm just telling you about my life. Like, I'm just telling you
Me
about
and my girlfriend.
yeah, like what any other person would do and is expected to do. I feel like it's, if you never talk about who you love, it's like, well, do you love them? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. You just, so yeah, I just want it to not be like such a thing, like,
Contentious.
oh, if you bring up anything about LGBTQ, then
Or
you're
your
shoving
faith.
it.
Yeah.
Then you're
like-
shoving it in my face. And it's just like with like others that are saying from the religious side
Yeah.
how what they think, and that's not shoving it in people's face. It's just, it just boils down to saying things that are helpful, and
Yes.
is what you're gonna say helpful. I don't need to go on a rant about, you know, how like it's crazy all the bullying and crazy all the things that have been said to me and done to me, and you know, I don't need to constantly go over that because I feel like that would be bringing it up all, like bringing up this like J agenda all the time.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
you know, same on the religious side, it's not going to help if you're just always constantly being like looking down on someone and being like, well, you're going to be judged one day, or Satan is, you know, you're listening to Satan. I just feel like these things don't need to be
They're not helpful.
said, and it's not helpful,
Yeah.
and it's damaging, honestly, and it's traumatizing, and these things, what you say will stick with someone.
Absolutely. And how you make them feel.
so
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's super important to get across. And I don't know, now that we're like already like way far into this video.
well, I did want to share about faith still because
Oh, go
that's what
for
we
it.
were, like,
Hey.
so it
I
was
like
really
it.
awesome because at the last journal conference, the women's session, I went with my mom and 2 sisters, and it was really awesome to go as family, and that's something that's still important to me as far as like how I stay close with the Savior. Is I like to listen to talks and still go with my family, but it's not saying that that's like what you should be doing. But I went, and we were at this really cool tabernacle in Ogden, Utah, and it's a really, really old one. And this is honestly one of my most like tender mercy moments. But I was sitting there and I had some notes, and so I just was taking notepad, so I was taking notes, and Elder Oaks got up. Is it President Oaks? Shoot. I knew it.
People say that all the time. President Oaks, yes.
President Oaks got up, and so the first words that I heard were, you know, gay, lesbian, bisexual, woo woo. Meaning
Nice.
that's me. But anyway, so I just hear these words, and I kind of shut down inside because I'm there with my family who obviously think differently than me, which is fine, but I just knew it was kind of a weird feeling, and I'm just sitting there like, I know what we have is good, and so it's just really hard to just hear all these things about how bad it is. But that being said, I did start writing in my notebook. I just wrote over and over, "He lives," and so I just was focusing on the Savior. So I really don't know what President Oaks said in that talk, and it could have been the most loving. But regardless, I just, in myself, I just kind of had to like tune out for a second, because stuff like that, like just put yourself in like a person's shoes, like my shoes, and how that would feel, and you're trying to, you know, have your legs on the stool. And so anyway, I'm just like writing over and over, "He lives," and the talk got over, and I was like, because I was so close to like, should I leave? Should I not leave? And I was like, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to focus on Christ and do what I need to do. And then it got over. My mom just reached over and put her hand on my leg, and she just said, "You're the best." And I broke down, and my 2 sisters reached over and held on to my arms, and I just sat there and sobbed, because that's all I needed. I didn't need a lecture. I didn't need someone being like, "See, did you hear what he said? Like, you're making bad life choices. Like, they just recognized that I was trying and that I was there to deepen my relationship with Christ. And they recognized, like, hey, this probably is hard. And so I just left and had to get some tissue. So I ended up getting some tissue, and then I found these stairs in this church, so I just went up them, because that's what you do. I just went exploring. And I went all the way up the stairs. There's like 2 flights, and then I got to this door that was at the end of this hallway, and I'm like, oh, what's in here? And I open it, and it's just this immaculate room with 2 chandeliers and a fireplace.
Like, she loves
fireplaces. I love fireplaces, and a huge picture of Christ over the fireplace. And I just, like, I was in my head, I seriously was like, is this room, like, was it made for me as I opened the door? Because it just felt like something I've never seen before, but something that was so personal and, like, so me, because I love chandeliers. I mean, look at all this decor, you know? So I went in front of the fireplace and just, like, fell to my knees and just started praying. And I just wanted to pray for people who were different, and I didn't want anybody's mental health or outlook on life to be different because of what they might hear at conference or what family or friends might tell them. And I just
specifically LGBT,
yeah,
like,
so I just
all the suicides and
yeah
stuff.
So I just prayed for no suicides. I just prayed for people's mental health. I just prayed for the Savior to be with them and to tell them that they're loved and He loves them and it's gonna be okay. And so I just went back downstairs, and my family was already out, and they all hugged me. And it was really cool because my sister was like, well, I came out to find you, and I went down the stairs of this church. And she was like, it's amazing that you went up the stairs. And she's like, I just think that's symbolic as far as, you know, where are you looking in life? Where are you going? Are you trying to better yourself, and are you trying to get closer to God, whatever that looks like for you? And, you know, and not that she was assuming the worst in me by going downstairs, but it just was symbolic of, like, what route are you going to take as far as when you look at people? Are you going down the stairs or are you going up the stairs? So
yeah, for sure. I love that. I
now
love that story every time she says it.
30 minutes in. So that was our faith, and
yeah, we kind of, like, veered, but I think that's
yeah.
like, I don't know. We decided, especially with these videos, you know, it helps us, and we also feel that the more that we talk, that we have a pretty good platform to be able to hopefully help somebody. Yeah, you know, like,
you're not alone.
I mean, we're not getting millions of views, which is fine, but we do have like 500 on the last one, and
Woo-hoo!
If it helped one person, then that's great. And I actually did get a few messages from people that were like, I'm so glad I found this video. So you know, our whole purpose of these is that we're going to start out with kind of a theme on it, and this one was the different paths that you take, and that, you know, there isn't just one for one person, and that you can have God and relationships and family and friends in life and be fulfilled. Yeah, and that there's hope and happiness. And of course, it kind of went into other things, but hopefully these personal experiences can help somebody and be a good record for us to look back on, like I said, because I really do think that it's important to remember some of these awesome experiences. So, and
go buy some of these because they're really good.
Those are good. Anyways, if you guys have
love you.
Yeah, if you guys have questions or anything, please comment, or you can send, like, personal questions directly, because we will try to I don't know, to talk about some of them in future. Yeah, topics, like, in future videos. We're gonna do some fun ones, but also a lot of, like, hard talks, I think, so we just want to be upfront and real. So anyways, I know, her anxiety's starting to hit the roof. Okay.